Всем привет! С вами команда подкаста Polytelly. В одном месте мы собрали учебу по обмену, азиатскую культуру и яркое студенчество.
В сегодняшнем подкасте мы обсудим образ российского студента в нашем понимании, чем он увлекается, чем он занимается, как планирует и проводит свое время, а также как он представляет себе свое будущее как успешный специалист или просто хороший человек.
Еще мы сравним нас, российских студентов, с местными студентами, поговорим про их мечты, про их цели, про их настоящую жизнь, чем они живут и о чем мечтают.
Давайте тогда сначала обсудим, что все-таки такое российский студент в нашем понимании и в нашем окружении.
Так как мы можем опираться только на нас самих и на наше окружение, я могу с точностью сказать, что российский студент — это просто Юлий Цезарь современности, потому что он успевает 100 миллионов видов деятельности, успевает за короткий промежуток времени пытаться учиться, заниматься спортом, участвовать в различных объединениях, при этом не забывать думать о работе, о поиске стажировок. Что еще мы успеваем делать?
Я не знаю, у нас в целом жизнь крутится вокруг студенческого активизма и реализации каких-то собственных проектов. Мне кажется, что это самый важный этап в студенчестве, особенно если у тебя бизнес-мейджор, как у нас, мы, по сути, учимся на институте экономики, но с этим институтом мы ничего не сможем сделать без какого-то опыта, а опыт мы как можем, так и нарабатываем.
Реально, опыт мы стараемся принимать и получать везде, где только можно, начиная от студенческих сообществ, таких как кейс-клуб, адаптеры, культорги, различные тревел-объединения, так и наши собственные штуки.
Саш, ты говоришь про очень большое количество проектов, различных тусовок, занятий и так далее. Как ты успеваешь? И, Лен, как ты успеваешь это все делать?
Секрет прост. Иногда мы не успеваем.
Все, секрет.
Я не знаю, как я успеваю. Ну, честно, я не знаю. Конечно, чтобы успевать, нужно просто как-то правильно подходить к планированию. Когда ты планируешь, как правило, планирование заключается в том, что ты выбираешь, на что ты выделяешь время, а на что ты не выделяешь время. И ты расставляешь таким образом приоритеты, выбираешь то, что ты важно для тебя сегодня, на этой неделе, на следующей неделе. Все впихнуть невозможно. От чего-то когда-нибудь нужно отказываться, расставлять приоритеты.
Каким образом у нас получается все-таки успевать то, что мы хотим? Мы отказываемся от сна. Мы отказываемся от еды, сна и вообще иногда не вывозим, но в основном вывозим.
Но это какой-то устаревший метод. Сейчас мы такие немножко, надо заботиться о себе, надо много спать. Не смотри так на меня. Я стараюсь, честно.
Но с много спать мы хорошо справляемся сейчас.
Пока везем, вывозим. На самом деле я согласен с Аленой, что в первую очередь страдают самые базовые потребности, когда хочется ухватить все и сразу. Стоит вспомнить первый и второй курс, когда мы спали реально очень-очень мало, и в неделю доходило до 4 раз, когда ночи были почти что бессонными. Это нехорошо, мы не пропагандируем такой образ жизни, но если вы хотите и хорошо учиться, и быть классным студентом с огромным количеством активностей, друзей, всевозможных положительных тусовок, при этом еще успевать работать, то...
Такие могут быть последствия. В общем, да.
При этом всем очень важно грамотно составлять список всего того, что необходимо сделать, потому что держать в голове такой объем задач просто невероятно. И в таком случае мне помогает определенная система планирования, которую я для себя выработал. Как вы это делаете, кстати?
У меня неделя представлена в виде столбца с временем и строки с числами на неделе. И я просто на каждой неделе расписываю определенные задачи, например, занятия или спорт, или время под какие-то задачи. Но, в общем-то, получается почти всегда так, что график у меня заполнен сверху донизу. Иногда, конечно, получается выполнить не все, я переношу это на следующий день или выбираю менее приоритетные дела, но я максимально стараюсь вместить в него все по всем сферам в жизни.
У меня система планирования не настолько отточена, как у ребят, но все-таки она работает. Я все важные дела ставлю в Google календарь, такие как занятия в университете, какие-то обязательные встречи, а все остальное у меня идет одним списком либо в заметках в телефоне, либо в ежедневнике. И для меня не существует какого-то такого красивого порядка в ежедневнике, как вот у Алены, там, строка, столбец. У меня это всегда, если посмотреть мои записи, какой-то хаос, беспорядок. Но для меня почему-то это работает лучше всего.
В примерно марте этого года я понял, что у меня абсолютно совершенно полный бардак вообще во всех сферах, начиная от комнаты и заканчивая тем, что я вообще хочу, что мне делать, и заканчивая почтами, телефоном, всеми мессенджерами. В общем, бардак был везде. И я начал с того, что просто навел порядок везде. И это очень хороший лайфхак, когда вы чувствуете, что что-то идет не так, и кажется, что вы запутались, посмотрите вокруг. Возможно, что вас окружает бардак. Не обязательно это связано с личными вещами, вашей комнатой. Это может быть связано с отношениями, с учебой и работой, например. Посмотрите и попробуйте навести порядок. Это очень важно, потому что когда порядок в делах вокруг, порядок наступает в голове. И тогда вам проще планировать и вообще понимать, что вы хотите делать дальше.
Очень классная мысль, кстати. Мне кажется, что я хочу продолжить. Мне кажется, самым главным этапом планирования является 3 этапа. Первый этап — это поступление всех, так сказать, входящих задач, то есть все, что нужно сделать, подумать, записать, сдать и так далее, это все пишется в один список. Например, это будет to-do список. Затем идет этап приоритизации, от чего-то можно отказаться, что-то нужно сделать срочно и так далее. Вы пытаетесь как-то перераспределить, понять, что нужно первым делом сделать. И третий этап — это уже распределение в какой-то временной промежуток, который будет максимально удобен для вас. Может быть, это сегодняшний день, может быть, это неделя, может быть, это месяц. В общем, если вы хотите просто заняться планированием своей жизни, внедрить планирование в свою жизнь, то нужно хотя бы с чего-то начать и не переставая пробовать различные техники. Тогда вы точно сможете найти что-то для себя наиболее удобное.
И хорошей техникой, которая прижилась именно у меня и которой я хочу с вами искренне поделиться, это техника, я не называю это техникой, просто это 2-недельные спринты, в течение которых ты просто записываешь весь список дел, которые тебе необходимо сделать. В течение этих 2 недель ты понимаешь, когда у тебя есть свободное время, например, вот на предстоящей неделе или через неделю. И таким образом дела, которые ты бы бесконечно откладывал, потому что они просто сидят это в голове, ты записываешь на листочек, либо свой ежедневник.
В общем, как вы поняли, в нашем понимании самое главное или одна из самых главных черт успешного российского студента — это планирование, умение планировать свой день, свою неделю, свой график в целом. Без него не вывести.
Помимо этого, студенчество — это время, когда ты определяешь то, кто ты такой, кто ты есть, что для тебя интересно, чем тебе хочется заниматься. Ты встречаешь бесконечное количество новых людей на своем пути, ты пробуешь новое, ты участвуешь в разных мероприятиях. Студенчество — это время, когда ты пробуешь просто все на свете.
Мы советуем вам пробовать себя как можно в большее количество мероприятий, различных активностей, чемпионатов, потому что они развивают ваши качества, и таким образом вы можете найти, что близко именно вам.
Такие активности, они помогают вам накапливать своего рода капитал, который поможет вам в будущем. И про этот капитал, кстати, сказано в одной интересной книге,
которую мы очень советуем вам прочитать. Это «Важные годы», автор Мэг Джей.
«Важные годы», не знаю, почему-то стали очень популярны среди нашей команды, прочитали ее все из нас, и мы не то чтобы прям восхищены ею, но там достаточно кратко, понятно и приемлемо изложены важные мысли про один из самых важных промежутков в жизни от 20 до 30 лет.
Ее можно назвать таким некоторым путеводителем по этим важным годам в промежуток между 20 и 30 годами, как сказала Алена. Путеводитель по тому, как стоит и как не стоит заводить отношения, как накапливать свой капитал идентичности и что это вообще такое, для чего он нужен и как он помогает. А также много других аспектов, связанных с карьерой, с учебой. И, короче говоря, как не потратить впустую эти важные годы.
Окей, с настоящим мы определились, немного затронули тему будущего. А что там дальше-то? Может, какие-то мечты, цели?
Целей и мечт у нас, конечно, очень много, но что самое интересное, это когда ты можешь из настоящего посмотреть в прошлое, посмотреть, о чем ты мечтал тогда, и случилось ли это так. Саша у нас вообще каждый год делает себе капсулу времени.
Да, с 16 лет я подумал, почему бы не сделать капсулу времени на год вперед и поставить себе цели и записать некоторые мысли о том, о чем я думаю сейчас, переживаю, как у меня прошел год, что я хочу достигнуть в новом следующем году. И так я уже делаю каждый год на свой день рождения и на Новый год.
Интересная вещь с целями и с достижениями. Лично у меня работает так, что сначала ты думаешь, что хочешь сделать какой-то проект, например, или добиться какой-то определенной цели. Очень страшно, очень непонятно, думаешь, да не получится, да как, ну а как это можно реализовать? Потом начинаешь с закрытыми глазами через страхи идти в реализацию, достигаешь этой цели и такой, а что, так просто было? Ну ладно, давайте дальше.
Классный инсайт. Не бойтесь начинать те дела, в которых вы абсолютно ничего не понимаете. Просто двигайтесь на ощупь и старайтесь подчеркивать знания из всех источников, из которых это возможно. Так мы начинали нашу деятельность «Студенты ярко». В январе этого года мы толком ничего не мыслили, как правильно создавать свой бренд, как организовывать такие большие мероприятия, но просто начали творить, и вроде получилось плохо.
То же самое с этим подкастом. Раньше мы никогда ничего подобного не делали, но мы просто сели и начали писать.
Ну, говорить, но в плане писать на камеру.
Причем разногласий, конечно, было много, и сомнений было много. Мы не знали, каково это будет пригласить иностранцев на запись подкаста, и что нам с этим делать.
Также нам получилось пригласить в наш подкаст очень классных и статусных людей из Polytelly. Кто не посмотрел еще наш выпуск, спешл выпуск с Айваном, самое время это сделать. За время обучения в Гонконге мы получили большое количество инсайтов. И, Саша, скажи, какие самые главные инсайты ты получил? Да, Саш, большое спасибо за такой интересный вопрос. Учеба по обмену в Гонконге дала мне огромное количество инсайтов, а главное из которых это то, что реально нужно вкалывать и учиться на максимум, потому что здесь конкуренция просто невероятно сильная, и если ты хочешь преуспеть в учебе, в работе, нужно быть готовым работать почти что 24/7, и нужно быть уверенным, что это того стоит, и это определенно окупится.
А еще больше интересных фактов и инсайтов вам расскажут наши коллеги, которые пригласили местного студента.
И, наконец-таки, мы забираем... By the way, do you speak Russian?
Нет.
Okay, you have like 10 seconds to learn. И на этой прекрасной ноте мы перенимаем на себя камеру. И давайте, наконец-таки, представим нашего гостя. Это Эдвин. Edwin, please introduce yourself.
Здравствуйте, очень приятно. My name is Edwin, and I'm currently a final year student here at the Polytelly Business School. So I'm a business major. And yeah, I'm very interested in business and finance, and yeah, it's a really great opportunity to talk to you guys a little about Russian students in Hong Kong, as well as Hong Kong students talking to Russian students. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Tell us a little bit about how it feels to be a Hong Kong student.
That's a good question, Ivan. So being a Hong Kong student, I'd say, have you guys ever heard of the notion that, for example, students in places like Korea and mainland China is extremely stressful? In Hong Kong, it's slightly less than that, but still pretty stressful. So when we start from kindergarten and then primary school and then secondary school and then college, a lot of things are so formalized that you have to get into a good school, you have to blah blah blah. I guess that's what comes at a cost when you're a city with relatively high degrees of economic development. Everybody's very cutthroat sometimes, but yeah, I think I think one last thing I'd like to mention, which describes this situation, is the emergence of education businesses. So a lot of tutoring centers, even for even kids that are like 3, 4, 5 years old, they're already receiving maybe private tutorship, that sort of thing. So I think that says a lot about being a student in Hong Kong. Yeah.
And you need to pay for all of these things.
So luckily, the government provides free education from kindergarten all the way to high school. But then, if you really have your family really has a low income, then you can apply for a grant, a subsidy in university. At most, you don't have to pay. Maybe you can get a half grant, and maybe kids who are bright they get a scholarship, that sort of thing. And we can also borrow money from the government if we are, let's say, our parents have the money but they don't want to pay for us, then we can borrow money from the government. Yeah.
Actually, it's quite similar to what we have in Russia. We begin our kindergarten at around free, but also there are some tutors for like musicians, for sports, starting at the same age.
Right.
And samely, we also have like the free system and paid like college degree.
What are Hong Kong students dreaming of? Like, what goals do you have?
That's a good question as well. When it comes to, well, you know, because everybody's different, I cannot possibly speak for on behalf of everyone else. But I'd say that just like everywhere else, let's say in Russia and China and US, Hong Kong students have a large range of dreams. I've met friends who want to be teachers, musicians, singers, celebrities, engineers, scientists, everything. But increasingly, I've also seen, because not sure if you guys know about the context, but there has been a lot going on in Hong Kong in the past few years regarding, you know, geopolitics, social stability, that sort of thing. I guess that adding to what I mentioned, the already stressful life of being a young person in Hong Kong, these two things combined kind of makes a lot of young people very distraught and lost and don't know what they want to do. And if you just walk around the campus, ask a lot of Hong Kong students, what they want to do in the future, I'm not sure all of them can answer you.
Is long-term planning a popular thing here? Like when, for example, you're in high school, you're thinking about where will you work, how will you get the job, something like that.
Yeah, mostly it goes on in high school when you first get a girlfriend, and then you talk to her about which house should we get, where should we live, what color should our paintings or should the wall be. But yeah, I guess long-term planning, to a certain degree, yes, because when we are in, let's say, the third year or fourth year of high school, we get this stress upon us that, we need to get into a good college, and then but once we got into college, I guess a lot of people will work hard as usual, but also a lot of people, as I mentioned, will feel comfort, and then they just, because university is such a place with such freedom, as well as a variety of activities. So at the university level, I'd say long-term planning, the popularity starts to decline a bit.
What about you? Did you have a plan, and how did you choose major?
When I was in high school, I was actually very into this TV show in the US called Suits. It's about lawyers. Yeah, you know,
Yeah,
right?
I know that one.
Yeah. I watched all 9 seasons, and then I felt like I want to be a lawyer, and then my grades were super far from being able to get into law school. Then I settled for the next best thing, which is business. And within business, there is accounting, finance, management, and my major is pretty unique in Hong Kong. It's called global supply chain management, which is related to operations, supply chain, logistics, shipping, that sort of thing. And the decision process was basically because I never felt like I was really good with numbers back then. so didn't choose finance. And for management, it's a little too general, so I'm afraid I cannot get a job. So ultimately I chose supply chain. But as time went on, I realized that many big companies actually don't really care about your major. So as mentioned in the beginning, I found my true passion to lie in finance and in the world of investments.
It's a nice story. Well, living here, at least I didn't find any stereotypes about Hong Kong students. Besides, most of Asian countries, they study a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know any stereotypes about Hong Kong studentship which are true or false?
So from the perspective of foreigners?
From all perspectives.
Understood. Hong Kong student stereotypes. Let me think. Because I know that one big stereotype of mainland students is that they even say it themselves. There's a culture called among mainland students called 内卷, which means roll in on yourself, which means that basically you roll in on yourself and you just study really, really hard and be extremely competitive, because China has more people graduating university each year than there is people in Hong Kong, so they have to be super competitive. And so that's a culture that even they admit. But for Hong Kong, I'd say something that's really popular among Hong Kong students, university especially, is something called an old camp culture, which is orientation camp. So essentially all the universities in Hong Kong have a lot of orientation camps and a lot of different activities, and sometimes these activities get a sort of a bad rep, especially among adults, because they feel these university kids, there are rumors that they are playing games that are not very healthy for the mind, a bit too mature. And then that's why sometimes, yes, exactly, the stereotype that Hong Kong adults have on Hong Kong university students might be on the decline, on the not as good end. Yeah. Oh, and if that is true, finally, I think that is probably 60 to 70% true. Yeah.
Do you feel the pressure from the society or adults? That you need to be the best? Because I know that in mainland China there's a popular program.
So in terms of the societal pressures that put on us, ever since we were kids, a lot of words will be thrown around our ears, which is usually the names of exams. So TSA, DSE, which is a high school diploma, college entrance exam. So a lot of different tests, the names of exams thrown around, and we will be constantly thinking about these words. And societal, for me personally, as a kid, I did felt it tremendously. I always felt the need to get good grades so that my parents would not scold me first, and second of all, they would buy me video games. Yeah, but after, as I mentioned, after watching the TV show Suits, and I want something in life, I know that I am capable of something. I know that I want more things in life. I started giving myself more pressure and expectations than my parents are giving me. Even in the past, they used to worry about me not studying too much. Nowadays, they worry about me studying too much and becoming, messed in the head. Yeah.
Do you take a CT after graduating from high school?
Sorry, take the
SAT, the American
SAT.
exam.
No, that's not very popular here in Hong Kong, unless you want to study in the States.
Makes sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Is studying abroad popular among Hong Kong students?
It already was popular in the past, but it became way more popular these 2 to 3 years. Actually, a lot of Hong Kong primary schools and secondary schools are facing the problem of not having enough students. That's why recently I was watching the news, and there was actually quite a few, I think at least a few dozen schools that closed down because of not enough students. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's because a lot of people actually migrated. Either they move with the whole family, or they just go abroad to study. Yeah.
that problem is completely opposite to what we have. Yeah, because we don't have enough spots in schools.
Is it hard to be competitive here?
Wow, that's a heavy question.
How long per week or per day do you have to study in order to be like at top 10% of the class?
To me, I don't think studying is... Me personally, I don't consider studying is something that you can calculate pound for pound. I mean, one pound of hard work you put in doesn't necessarily translate to a good GPA. Maybe some people find that that's the case. Maybe I'm just not as good at studying as they are. So I'd say usually mainland students, some of them, well, mainland students have a wide range. Some of them have terrible grades, but some of them have the best grades in the whole class. And I assume they would study at least 5-6 days a week, and sometimes overnight. Yeah, it happens. But I've seldom done that. That's why I don't have very good grades. But I think it was early on that I recognized my strength does not lie in studying and academics, but rather in doing actual work and studying about what's going on in the world and how different knowledge relates to real world events, and also landing internships and then learning from people who are smarter than me. I think the things that I just mentioned are more my strength than studying.
Do you have an internship or a job now?
Not now, but I did a few internships in the past.
Are you going to have one in the winter or?
No, I've done enough. I'm just going to look for a graduate job.
Are you already writing your thesis?
Yeah. So in my first year, I interned at a energy startup. They make batteries in a place in Hong Kong called Science Park, which is basically functions as like a Silicon Valley of Hong Kong. A lot of biotech companies, startup incubators. And then second year, I interned at HSBC for 6 months, doing wealth and personal banking. And then just this summer, my third summer in college, I interned at a small local hedge fund, and also 2 months at JP Morgan.
6 months in banking, 2 months in JP Morgan. What could be better? I mean,
True.
Oh, in Polytelly there are like dozens and hundreds of clubs of, some kinds of teams and that kind of stuff. Like, how would you evaluate student life other than studying in Hong Kong and especially in Polytelly?
Well, there's a sort of metric that university students have come up with, which is called 大學五件事. It means 5 things of college that you have to do. So basically these are joining a committee of a club, so running a club, and then studying, and then doing part-time jobs, and then dating, and then living in the dorms.
I know that students who live in the dorm, they are interested in, I don't know, like...
Mahjong?
What?
Mahjong.
Mahjong?
Yeah, it's Chinese people.
Game, yeah. Actually, yesterday they were playing poker.
Poker, oh yeah, that's popular as well.
Yeah.
They are like organizing activities. Are locals interested in that?
It depends. So do you guys live in the dorm?
Yeah.
Is it the Homantin dorm?
No, we live in Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong. Actually, it's a separation that most international students and mainlanders actually live in the Homantin Hall, and most local people live in the Hong Kong Hall, and they have very different cultures. So in the halls that you guys live in, it's very local dominated. They have like 5 to 6 or 7 different halls that have their own cultures, their own committee, and sometimes they have different activities together. And then, yeah, as you mentioned, poker, drinking, mahjong, a lot of different stuff, party rooms. And for the Homantin Hall, it's a little quieter, but I know that there are also some events, yeah.
It's just interesting because we can attend these events. However, they are mainly in Cantonese, so it makes no sense for us to go there. We've been to 2 of them, I guess, maybe to 1, and during that one it was the warden, I don't know, something like the first meeting of the year, that kind of stuff, and they made some contests, and they like made everyone to break eggs on their forehead, and like I was one of the people. Like I took that. I was already sure that I'm gonna like be it's gonna be all over my face. Since then we didn't attend any events they organized.
Alright.
People party right in the halls, and people party everywhere. And like, how do they, again, study? How do they match study and partying?
They actually, it's a pretty difficult balance. A lot of people, if they do too much partying, they don't get good grades. But there's also something that allows them to have grades that are not too terrible, which is, like, no offense to Hong Kong, but the overly rigid educational system, which only encourages, spoon-fed education and writing down cookie-cutter points for your exam questions. So let's say, tell us about this company's marketing strategies, and you cannot just answer the question with your own knowledge. You need to memorize and recite the points that professor is given to you, and this in turns allow people to, they don't have to have a deep understanding of what they're studying in order to get okay grades. They just need to memorize the points. And as for something that you cannot, as for something like assignments, it's even easier. You can just get it from the people from your previous year. And not all the professors will change up the exam papers.
Does it work?
It does, very well.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you don't even need to change their work?
Yeah, so the professors will change the figures on the questions, but sometimes they don't change the questions format entirely.
Well, basically that's actually quite different from what I've seen through the semester, because as I got my grades, I was surprised because they were not that good. And I thought we were encouraged not to just write down what we know or what we did know from the lecture, but more like inspire or surprise the professor with the knowledge you gained around his subject. Like basically, the only excellent grade, like 15 out of 15 I wrote about the blockchain usage for the airplane fueling transactions, which are used like in 6 airports in Russia from one specific company. And I think I got the highest grade, not because it was something super tech or I don't know, but just because she couldn't imagine that could be implied, and it's already implemented. And other subjects which I was writing like more rigid, as you mentioned, like the things professor said, but like specifically sharpened to the topic we are discussing, they got like above average grades, like 70-80%.
It's actually something that I've been quite frustrated with throughout my college life. So as I mentioned, I did a lot of internships, so just like what you mentioned, Ivan, that there are so much going on in the real world, right? That can be linked back to what we are learning. But professors, no offense again to them, that a lot of them are living kind of in a bubble. And they just want to do their job. And actually teaching is not their primary job. Their job is research for the school and increasing the ranking. They just do teaching on the side. Of course, they do get paid for it, but it's not their main job. So, yeah, but there were certain courses throughout these 4 years that I feel like were very good. For example, last year there was a professor. I was studying purchasing management, and then this professor, actually, he's something called a professor of practice, which means you do 20-30 years of work and then you get a PhD and then you come to teach. In his lectures he had PowerPoints, but he never asked us to memorize the points, but instead he just tells stories about his own adventures and experiences in the past, and that to me was a very very good thing and a breath of fresh air, because if you go online and just watch maybe courses from Yale, MIT, all their professors, they have PowerPoints, but they don't really read from them, right? And sometimes they even have blackboards in a university. But then these guys are the best universities in the world, so obviously they're doing something right? But obviously this sort of teaching, and with the professor I just mentioned, not all Hong Kong students, and in fact a lot of Hong Kong students, my peers, didn't really like it. Yeah, because they got used to the spoon-fed model, they just want to get it over with, you know? Just, okay, come on, old guy, just give the points, I'll memorize them, and I'll write them out in the exam. Like, come on. But he isn't doing that, so a lot of people weren't happy with him. I, on the other end, was very happy with him. I didn't get an excellent grade. It was not bad, but I learned way more from this one course than a lot of other courses.
You mentioned 5 points. The first was studying, the second was dorm life, the third one was clubs. We left with 2 of them. One was dating life, and another was
part-time jobs.
Part-time jobs.
Yeah,
we already talked a little bit about part-time jobs. What about dating life of students? Do they do it, and generally and culturally,
Yeah,
is
a
it
lot,
allowed?
a lot. Yeah, they Hong Kong students date a lot, even starting from early high school.
Well, I have some questions just about Hong Kong people, which I can generally not understand.
Shoot.
Yeah, because like these things that frustrate me on daily basis. And the first and foremost is the way people walk here. Like it's slow and it's like so not careful. What I mean is like someone can like walk and at some point just stop, or some point start to like turn in.
And also bump into you.
Yeah, and like don't even try to look if there are people around.
I agree with you 100%.
Are you sure that you are from Hong Kong?
Yeah, I am. I was born and raised here. Yeah, I agree with you completely. I'm so frustrated by that. Sometimes people are, especially these days, there are so many tourists. I'm not gonna say from where, but yeah, a lot of tourists, and they just kind of stop and look at things, and then they take their Google map and they turn around, and then and also a lot of people just don't seem to see anyone else other than themselves. They just boom, boom, boom. That's a good observation and very true. I don't even know how to explain that.
There is a question I usually ask all local people or people who live there longer than like a couple months. Do you visit LKF, and how often and which places do you like?
Right. So I do go to LKF. Less frequent if I'm in school, but way more often if I'm doing internship in Central. Because it's just a place to go. Where else can you go? Or maybe sometimes if we want to be quiet, we'll go to places like Wan Chai or Admiralty. But yeah, LKF. During internships, probably I'll go once every 2 or 3 weeks, and then the places that we visit are like like Faye. I never went to Dragon. No. And Graffiti, Boomerang. Graffiti kind of slaps now, and also Department in Co. Sound Department.
We did it like this one.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And then these are the clubs that we go to, and also there are some really good bars. 1 or 2 good ones that I went to in around LKF and the Soho area. There's one called The Parallel, really cool blue neon lights, and then there's one called Penicillin. They serve cocktails to you, like the whole place looks like a lab. It's so fucking cool. And then finally, there's one called a Draftland, which is more quiet and less lively, but it's cocktail on tap. They have a lot of different cocktails like chrysanthemum, so like really funny flavors.
We should visit them.
You should.
Yay, more places. And as we started with drinks, what about food? Like I know that the episode is about like student food, but like Harvard had their square pizza place.
Square pizza.
Oh
yeah.
And like, what about Polyu? Where do students go? Like like most popular, most traditional place for them to eat.
Wait, first of all, how do you know about square pizzas?
I mean, I watched Suits as
Oh,
well.
yeah, same. It's the quiz, right?
Yeah,
Lewis Litt.
yeah, that one.
Where do you get square pizza?
I'm a burger guy.
Yeah, wow, you have good memory. Yeah, so for Poly, where's the good food? Well, yeah, it's funny. We have names, very shortened, abbreviated names for different canteens. So the lawn cafe is called, we just call it Chou can, like grass can. And then American Diner, we call it glass can. It has glass around it. And then there's one called good can. So you know it is good. It's, I think, near Acor or under Acor. I think it's a Japanese place.
I think I get it.
Yeah, I've never went there, but people call it the nice can.
Because you're not the first person who tells me about it. It's like when you enter from the AB core side and it's on the left or on the right and it's hard to find.
Yeah, very obscure.
There's a Japanese place on campus.
I don't know if it's Japanese, but I've never had it. But people say it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my first year, I went over to the nice can and I saw, wow, $80 Hong Kong for lunch. That's outrageous. But after working, and also working in Central, $80 feel like a steal. Yeah.
Like, how did you get to JP Morgan?
Damn. It's a really long journey because for somebody like me, I actually did trash on my college entrance exam. But yeah, I think I got into college because a lot of people left Hong Kong. I think 5 years ago, 100% I wouldn't have gotten into college, probably got into associate degrees. But yeah, very luckily I got into college, and then I felt like I lost all hope because I wanted to study law, but then my grades are, I got 19 marks. People who get into law is usually 35, 36. That's way off. Then I lost all hope. Do I deserve to pursue success anymore? Yeah, but I felt distraught for a while, and I tried different things throughout the campus, but then I found out my passion really lies in the ambitious things in life. I want more, and I know I'm capable of more, so I applied for that first internship that I mentioned, and they accepted me for some reason. Out of 200 people, it's a supply chain internship, but I haven't even taken one single supply chain course at that time, so it's amazing that they took me. And then in there, I learned so much from the interns. I was the intern with the worst qualifications, but that's a good thing. That means I get to learn from others. There was a girl from UPenn, so Wharton Business School.
Oh.
She went on to Goldman Sachs the next summer. There was a kid from Imperial. He taught me French as well. And then a Kazakh kid studying in Baptist University, super smart with data science. So many people, and they taught me so much about life, about being a young person, about enjoying life, about writing CVs, using LinkedIn, using Excel without a mouse, so many things. And then I took all these things, I applied to HSBC, and I got in there, and it's truly my first stepping stone into the banking industry. 6 months, I met a lot of people. I had coffee chats, I networked with a lot of people and talked to them about finance. And I do my own study about finance stuff. And then I applied for JP Morgan and a whole suite of other companies. I didn't think I would get it because it was so far away. I mean, getting into HSBC was big for me, but JP Morgan is like here compared to HSBC.
Yeah.
So one good thing is that their interviews, their recruitment process, they don't ask about your GPA, which mine sucked. They don't have aptitude tests, which is, you know, where you arrange graphics according to logic.
My girlfriend actually applied to KPMG in Hong Kong, and she sent me some pictures of the test, and I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like, oh, okay, so EY, KPMG, you think that if somebody can arrange the graphic, then you have a good employee? Good luck. But JP Morgan, they don't ask your GPA, they don't have these tests. They just have an online video interview where you send in your videos so that they can see what kind of a person you are. And they are the biggest investment bank in the world, so yeah, who's doing what right? Yeah, so I did that part well, and then I got into final interview, which is called Super Day. It's like around 3-4 hours of continuous interviews, a group discussion, and then 2 VPs interview you back to back. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. Yeah, so I have to say, it's a really long journey. It's almost impossible for someone like me to get into JPM. Like the final thing I would like to add on is just really how difficult it seemed. Because in my first year, when I wanted to get an internship, some people tell me, "Oh, come on, man, you are Poly, you have a sub 3 GPA, you're year 1, you're not gonna get any internships." And then I got it. And then, okay, that's your ceiling. You're not gonna get into banking. You're supply chain major. Who knows about supply chain? And I got into HSBC. And people say, okay, that's your ceiling. You're not from a target school. JP Morgan is like here. You are here. You cannot get it. Boom, I got it. So.
Oh, next step is the moon, the Mars, the
Yeah.
sun.
Yeah. I'll find Sputnik.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and I guess we are pretty much ready to finish. Maybe there is something you want to say to students who want to go to Hong Kong as exchangers or as full-time students, or generally like something that you may say it now.
Sure. Yeah, so I think for students who want to go to Hong Kong, come to Hong Kong for exchange, it's a really, really good place. I see many of its flaws, just like you guys do, but I also love the place, and I would want to continue a large part of my life here. And a lot of the international friends I've had, whether they are on exchange, whether they are here for 4 years, full education, they tell me they love the place in general, despite its flaws. So what I think the message is that this place has its flaws. It's not all rainbows and butterflies, but we have our beautiful things. We have beautiful scenery, and Hong Kong. There are certain a certain amount of Hong Kong people, like students or teachers or whatever, who will be more than happy to learn about places that you guys come from, the culture, the food that you like, and just study hard, find your passion. I'm going into old man mode. So do what you love and don't do whether or not you come to Hong Kong, do what you love and don't do what you don't love. That sounds easy, but if you do what you do not entirely love, you grow resentment, and then you feel like, oh, my life is shit, I cannot change anything. So just quit when you feel like it, and then just do what you love. Yeah.
Что ж, надеемся, что вам понравился этот выпуск.
Желаем вам приятной недели.
А мы полетели.
Эй.
Stay tuned for next episode on Student Dog Pride.